2, 1. You kept going up. Countdown. You can- Yeah, thank you. If you put more chairs out. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to bring the July 11th regular council meeting to order at 5:30. If everyone will stand with me if you're able, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we will have a prayer from Councilman Ford. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we ask that you bless this meeting and all of us here participating. We also ask that you watch over our staff in their daily routines, be with them and keep them safe. Father, we ask that you watch over our citizens and our neighbors and all of those affected by the recent hurricane, that they may become whole. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, well, first of all, I want to welcome everyone. Glad we made it through what was a blessing from the hurricane, that Weimar didn't suffer too many issues, so just be thankful for that, just like Councilman Ulrich said. And with that being said, I'm going to jump right into our agenda items. Agenda item number 3 is introduction of new employees.
Sergeant Jones, you have a new employee?
Yes, sir. Council, good evening. On behalf of Chief Jamison and the Weimar Police Department, I take pleasure to have the honor of introducing our new officer for the Weimar Police Department and the city of Weimar, Officer Austin Moore. Officer Moore comes to us with 13 years' experience. He served with Colorado County and most recently Fayette County in various capacities, from patrol to narcotics investigator. Officer Moore comes to us with a wealth of knowledge and experience, and we are happy to have him as part of our team. Please help us welcome Officer Austin Moore.
Congratulations, buddy.
Glad to have you. Appreciate it.
Welcome aboard. I don't want to see you with hair on out, right?
Congratulations.
Don't be talking to me. My last time to say hello.
Go get to work.
Derek, are you ready?
We have a new employee for the electric department. I'll let him speak.
My name is Alex Jimenez. I came to Weimar whenever I was around 7 years old, and I graduated here at Weimar High School. Went to Powerline School in Victoria College, and attended trucking school in Houston to get my CDL. And I've been here for about 2 weeks, and I just want to say that I'm very grateful for the opportunity to serve the people of Weimar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to have you, brother.
Welcome aboard. Keep my lights on.
Air on.
Air on that too. Anybody else?
That's it.
Okay. Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 4, city manager's report.
Derek, you want to give your electric report?
I know that we've been having a few outages that's been going around. Some of them are squirrels, some of them are bad connections, and I mean, a lot of those, we're getting to the point where, you know, we're putting on wildlight protectors, you know, on the transformers and stuff. Looking into purchasing a crimp gun for the connections and all that. But, we're working on the elementary school, trying to get that pad mount transformer that was, council passed to change them out from the big ugly ones at the elementary and put a pad mount there. So we're working on that. So if there's any other questions?
Nothing about electricity, but I got some other questions. Is that
Okay.
okay? Just, were we able to do anything in reference to, last meeting we had with the concerns about the pool restrooms? You, Mr. Wilson kind of mentioned it. Were we able to address that citizen's concerns about the restrooms at the pool? And
Mr. Ellison?
we made any progress, or are we gonna be able to do anything about that and his concerns?
Well, we looked at the signage and we addressed the signs that we are actually required to put. Some of the hooks and stuff that got into ADA issues, that if you put benches out, then we don't have the space to keep our ADA clearance. So it's one thing kind of impinges on another, and that's where we're kind of at now, to where it's turned into a much bigger project or issue that we need to really gather some more information to find out. But there was some meetings with lifeguards and stuff to address some of those other concerns, and so it's been an ongoing process, and y'all can speak more to that, but it's
Some of it seemed to be just cleanliness,
Yes.
mold, and those kind of things. Have we been able to do anything about that?
Clean the mold up.
Well, I think you talked to lifeguards about cleaning up a little bit better and all that.
But
so-
not the mold.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna have to do that on Monday.
Well, I know before the pool opened up, we went in there and pressure washed everything. I mean, obviously, he talked about the windows, but some of those windows are cracked and stuff, so, I mean, I'm afraid to, wipe them too much and then, shatter the glass and all that, so.
yeah, it's a delicate situation over there, so it's,
Well, we are, but though working toward keeping it cleaner than what it
Because
was.
some of it just appeared dirty,
It did.
was some of it. And who's responsible for taking care of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's a great answer.
Good, good, perfect. And then, could you speak to the number of city wells that we have? How many are functional?
Yes, we have well number 4 and 8, that goes to water plant number 3. Those are running all the time. And then we have well number 6, 9, and 10. 6 and 9, if we need to run them or 6, 9, and 10, if we need to run them for emergency situations, we can. We got the new cable ran that Mr. Mercer, we needed for communications for the SCADA and all that. That's all ran, hooked up. So right now, we're just relying on plant number 3, for the water.
3 and 8.
Yeah, well, 4 and 8 at plant 3. The other ones we're using as emergency situations because it's iron, high manganese, which cause the dirty water complaints and stuff like that.
But they're all functional.
Yes,
And
yes,
so those three that are not online all the time are there for an emergency meeting.
correct,
And then if we need them, we can run them.
yes.
Do we have to do any mixing of the waters to deal with the iron and the sulfur and all those sorts of things?
We're currently working on that, dealing with iron and magnesium that are in those 2 wells. I'm getting assessments and samples taken, but we're trying to improve that. Ready to go 24 hours. Right now, everything is potable, everything's good to go.
So you guys are on it, you're taking care of it. Very good.
Anything else?
Thank you.
thank you. Mark, you wanna come up? Do you have any additional reporting?
Come up to the podium.
Just to say
Mark.
that just.
Mark, come to the podium. Yeah. Just want to make sure that you can be heard on live stream as well. And they can see you.
No, not too much additional reporting, just so that you know we're on top of everything. As far as TCEQ is concerned, all our reports are in, we're up to date on everything, so,
Oh, good to hear.
yeah. So, and we were ready for this storm. If it would've hit us,
Yes, sir.
we would've been fine.
I believe you.
Electric, but the water and the wastewater would've been fine.
Thank you.
Sergeant Jones?
Yes, sir. Good evening again. So before I get into the city manager's report that y'all have, upon Chief Jameson's arrival in early October of 2023, we found that Weimar PD was not and did not comply with state CJIS requirements. Through the help of multiple people, including David and Alan Casey with IT, it gives us a great honor to finally announce that Weimar PD has passed the recent audit and is now in compliance. So thank you all to who all was involved. It was a lot of work, but thank you all. During the month of June, we responded to 200 calls for service. Some of the highlights are 7 motor vehicle accidents, 1 domestic disturbance, 3 frauds, and 2 alarm calls. We also had 101 traffic stops for the month. Our arrests were 10 arrests. I'm not going to point them all out, but some of the arrests were deadly conduct, aggravated robbery, resisting arrest, evading arrest, failure to ID, fugitive from justice, violation of bond and protective order, and DWI. We had a 30-day reporting. On average, we get about 6.66 calls for service on this reporting cycle. Our calls for service did increase by about 28%, and that is pretty much was anticipated because of summertime. Our traffic stops did increase also by a little bit more than 31%. Our arrest did decrease by 28.57% from last month, mostly because of more violent arrests. It takes more paperwork and whatnot that we've had. And our cases did increase by 166.66%, the cases that we took in. That includes all cases, information, and everything of that nature. With that being said, do y'all have any questions for me?
Yeah, so I had a couple citizens reach out, just kind of questions. On the Tahoes, so all the new vehicles are actually out patrolling, correct?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. And then on the truck that we have, is it currently in service or is it still being used?
The Chevy, the
Chevy,
1500?
yes.
It's in fleet. It is not currently in service, but it's never been outfitted for patrol.
Okay.
So it has a light bar and sirens, but it does not even have a radio inside of it.
Gotcha. So I know whenever we first approved the purchases of the vehicles, you know, we're told that the truck was going to be used for back and forth travel for, I guess it was for your personal use back and forth. Is that still being used or is it?
Currently, not right now, no, sir.
Okay. Is there kind of a reason for that?
When we got the new Tahoe, I started driving the new Tahoe, more for reliability. The truck has about 180-something thousand miles on it.
Okay.
So more for reliability and call-out purposes. Didn't want to get stranded on the side of the road, coming into a call-out.
Correct.
So, but currently right now, it's serving a purpose as being able to pull our trailer around, lay out traffic cones, anything of that nature, hauling stuff back and forth to the shooting range when needed, anything of that.
Perfect. So there's no shortage then on patrolling vehicles at this time?
At this time, not currently.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to double check that. And then another issue that was kind of brought to my attention.
I did misspeak. We are short by at least 1 patrol vehicle. Yes.
So if we moved that patrol vehicle now into patrolling and used the truck as back and forth, would we
The
we'd
vehicle,
be fine then, right?
the vehicle right now that we have, the Tahoe that was purchased to replace the wrecked one, is not upfitted right now. We're currently waiting on an upfit.
Gotcha, perfect, thank you. And then, the only other thing that I had was, that was brought to my attention at least, was, citizens have kind of some issues with, say if their vehicles are being parked unattended, say if they're going into a restaurant, the car's ran outside, running locked, they're kind of pointing out is that additional fuel cost that's being related to tax-paying dollars that could be avoided?
Generally, on the idle, there's not really too much additional fuel cost. What is more additional fuel cost, or more cost, is the turning on and off of the vehicle. It takes more battery, more power to it, because we have so much equipment in there. Anytime that we shut that vehicle down, all the equipment has to power back up.
Gotcha.
And in case there is something that we have to go to very rapidly, it takes a few minutes for it to boot up.
Correct.
So it benefits to leave the vehicles on an idle.
Okay, it's just when you get to like that hour point of sitting there idling, in my mind, that's kind of why you have the handheld for those purposes. So just a suggestion if you wouldn't mind looking into.
Okay.
Sergeant, some follow-up questions.
Yes, sir.
What would you say that the number of patrol vehicles we have versus administrative vehicles? Do you have that number?
Patrol vehicles, right now, we have 5 patrol vehicles, one that is waiting to be upfitted, the Tahoe that I'm currently in, and one administrative vehicle.
Now, that administrative vehicle, it would not be suited for patrol, correct?
No, sir.
And would it ever be intended for that kind of use?
No, sir.
Okay, so whoever's driving that, I guess it would be the chief.
Chief.
So he would not be expected to make any kind of, he would not be expected to answer a call in that vehicle.
Generally, no, sir.
And if he had to, there's no radio in that vehicle, or
There is some emergency equipment that did get installed, but for patrol ready, no. It does not have a camera, it doesn't have a cage or anything of that nature. It is strictly administrative use. If he has to put his lights and sirens on for anything, it's probably a really bad day.
I think where people are getting confused is where a current situation is versus where a desired situation is. And our desired situation, when we can get there, is that all the vehicles that the PD will have in regards to the vehicle that Sergeant Jones has or will have, and the vehicle that the chief has or will have, those will be equipped to the full level that they are patrol capable. That's not their primary intent, but the chief as well as Sergeant Jones is expected to respond to calls in their off hours, and they should have a vehicle that is capable of doing that, even though that vehicle may or may not be marked out. So I think there's confusing in when the term patrol vehicle is used, in what sense is that really being applied? So,
so whether its primary use is patrol or response or not, that eventually would be at a point where it was capable
of that, yes.
You
So,
might have to
and-
answer a call.
right, and we're trying to get to that point, but just because of different circumstances or whatever, it's like you take 2 steps forward and then 1 step back and stuff, so we're working towards that. And I'm certainly not gonna speak for the chief or the PD, but I know just in general, as small as we are, that's the desirable position, so.
And that kind of came up in our budget meeting with our staffing.
Right.
Really one per shift, and then one kind of that 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. and
Yeah.
it's kind of lonely out there, I would think. So I guess eventually everything will be fitted out with, I guess, cams, cages, everything that you need to respond. Because right now, it sounds like since our staffing is such as it is, we're depending on other agencies to respond at times. And what kind of response time is that, Sergeant? If you're out there on patrol by yourself, it's not 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. and there's a need, how long does it take to get a response?
Closest response time is if there's a county deputy that's right outside of city limits. Longest response time, if they're coming from the very tip of, Cat Spring, Bernardo, that can be, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour before they can get here, depending on the type of road that they're on. Generally, I would say in general speaking, average response time is about 25 to 30 minutes, relying on deputies to get to us when we need it.
It's a long time if that's you, right?
Yes, sir.
And so,
But we do have the chief that lives here, so he would be a second hand on.
Yes.
And he's always available.
Over the radio, a call for help will go to dispatch, and they're gonna dispatch the first people that they can dispatch out, that's gonna be on their way, and then they will make the calls on the phone tree, of course, which would be on the chief and I to get out, so.
in return with that, that's why I see the chief really needs to have the cage and all that, because he's, probably the closest guy that, if there's a bind, he's really the closest guy that's around.
I think really most of these questions we best to be asked to the chief, because he's the one representing the department, he's the one that needs to be answering to that. So
Okay.
we certainly do not need to be speaking for
Sure.
him in this sense, so.
I'm just stating kind of what's in the best interest for the citizen, that's all that I'm trying to say,
Well, again, I think he would be the one best
Correct.
representative to speak to that, so.
Thank you for what you do, Sergeant,
Thank you. Do y'all have any more questions for me?
and you guys.
Thank you. Good job, guys.
Jonathan,
Evening, Mayor, Council. You have my report in front of you guys. Any questions, concerns? Anything?
Anything that you want to report, because not everybody has a report.
Got a few new builds coming up. I think I got 2 new residential structures coming in. I just approved plan review on one on Park Drive area. It's gonna be a pretty big house there too. Other than that, got some finishing up. Limbs. So this would be a good time now, I guess, to go over limbs. Limb pickup is the first week of every month, correct? But we cannot be piling these limbs on the roadway. They are to be piled on your property at the curb line. Right now, I've got several folks who are just laying them out across the road, piling them up on the road. That's not where it goes, and that's not how it goes. So actually, in the ordinance, it states that they should be piled up to the nature of the property of the owner at the curb line where the tractor can pick them up. That is a violation. That's violations that I do issue. I have a couple that I've sent out already, and they've got a while to fix the problem, because I think we're done with pickup. So, and I give them, I think it's 10 days is what I gave them, and then the 11th day, if it's not picked up, then I'll issue citations for not taking care of the violation. But, for everybody else, word of mouth goes a long way. If you can, pass that along, and it'll really help us out too in the city, and help these guys out too, instead of being on the roadway. It does cause a problem, being on the roadway. Drainage, rain, whatever.
We don't make exceptions for wind events?
For wind events,
Storm event.
doesn't say otherwise in the ordinance, nor does it specify the gray area, but it does state that it should be piled at the curb line of the property.
I think he's asking about pickups, right? You're not
Oh,
asking-
pickups. So I was wondering the same thing. Personally, I feel we should probably have another one, because there's quite a bit of piles going around there, but that is not my decision. That is.
we are and have been making
Yeah.
extra pickups, so it's.
So,
just trying to fit it in.
I've got a couple here that got a couple big piles, but they're doing their best to haul some of it off themselves, because it is a little bit of an issue right now. They had it on the roadway, so it was causing visibility problems, but they have since then moved it.
I don't know how it works out like this, but it does seem on occasion that you guys come around, because you do work at picking up, and I appreciate that as a citizen, because you can notice. But it seems like you guys pick up, and then they make a stack, some of the folks make a stack as high as the house as soon as you have picked up. What is
It,
the
it
deal?
does, and it does work that way.
It does
These guys
work
will
that
go out
way.
there and pick it up, and then you can go right back 2 days later, and they got a pile just as big as the first
Yes.
one.
Well, I
So-
appreciate you trying to keep up with
Yeah.
it.
So, anything else, council, mayor, questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Y'all
Thank you, Jonathan.
Misty?
Council, Mayor. All right, up to the library. We have about 17,000 holdings, meaning books and materials in our library. We're up to 1685 patrons in our library, which is still going up as we speak. 137 people are borrowing or loaning, using materials right now. For our visits for the month of June, we had 1,104 people, patrons show up at our library. For the ones using the audio checkouts, they're up to 59, which is good. And then for our overdrive, that's the Libby, that you can use on the computer for free, so you don't have to come to the library. But if you use the overdrive with ebooks, we are at 86 for those. So there's a lot of people using ebooks. For our calendar, full month of for July, we're still having our chess classes at 10 o'clock on Tuesdays in Hapkido at 11:30 a.m. with David McCall. We still have our library in motion and crochet classes going on. We also had a movie that was canceled on the 8th because of the storm, and we moved it down to the 29th of July. It was, we're gonna have Disney Jungle Book, rated G, at 2 p.m. So we're gonna have free popcorn and water for that. Let's see. Next Monday, on the 15th, we're gonna have arts and crafts. We're gonna do a pool noodle and make ponies out of it. So if you have any little ones that are interested in making ponies out of those big noodles, please RSVP to us. We only have 12 noodles, so only 12 spots. So, and we have still a lot available yet. Anybody interested in making a pony noodle?
Not at 10:30.
Then coming up to, we'll go ahead and we'll come back to summer program. With Friends of the Library, they have the Texas Park and Wildlife Hunter Education Program at 9 a.m. at the Weimer Junior High cafeteria for ages 9 and up. So if you need to get your wildlife hunter certification or safety going on, register online. You can call me and I can give you the email address or email it to you to get a hold on the website so you can register online. The next thing we have coming up is our end of the summer beach party at 11 a.m. We're going to do the raffle drawing. We're going to have crafts, games, and a sweet surprise. So for all the readers that did a really good job this year, way to go to them to keeping it up. We are almost at 100,000 pages. I had, we are at 96,801, so we're that close. So I'm encouraging those readers to keep on reading. This includes our 82 kids that joined up this summer. They have done 44,113, but our 32 adults that joined, they're up, beating them at 52,688 pages. So good job for our summer reading this year. I'm very excited that we're doing a very good job with keeping our reading going. Let's see. And I think that's it, unless y'all have any questions for me.
Thank you,
All right.
Misty.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Misty.
This concludes our report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to agenda item number 5, approval of the minutes of the June 11th regular council meeting.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. If there are no additions, corrections, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Agenda item number 6, report on financial statements. Mr. Mason?
Mayor, council, I'd like to bring your attention to pages 14 through 24 of the council packet. If you look through there, I can answer any questions you have.
are you good? Okay. David, anything you want to point out?
No, that's all.
Okay. Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 7, approval of accounts payable and transfer of funds.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. It's open for additional discussion. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Agenda item number 8, discussion and approval of the 2023 single audit compliance for federal grants. Is that you? Or David? Okay.
Yeah, the mayor council, this book in front of you here. So if we get over, the way it is right now anyway, they're gonna increase the amount. So right now, if we get over $750,000 in grants, we have to do a single audit. We've been lucky, in the past, we just haven't had to do it. But so this year, we did have over $750,000. So page 9, you can read through the beginning part, it's just Greg's reports on his findings. Everything was fine. We spent the money that we took in appropriately. If you look at page 9, the first section was the Department of Housing and Community Affairs. That's the home program, basically. We had 5 homes last year, and a total of 22 homes to date. The second section there is the ARPA funds, which was spent on the Tin Man, rehabilitation of the Tin Man, some fencing, some plumbing, all regarding that. And then the USDA funds at the bottom were spent on the street projects on the north side of town. It was not completed, but those funds were spent there.
Yeah.
Okay. So we did have to report this, and everything was, his findings were that we did spend it appropriately. Anything else, Laura?
No.
Okay.
We're good. Well, they asked earlier why we didn't do it with the other.
Oh, yeah, just didn't meet the threshold, $750,000, so we have to list them all.
We're expecting to have more of these in the future.
I guess it's good in a way. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Just depends.
If they don't raise the $750,000,
Then we're gonna raise it up to $1 million, I think we read.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, somewhere I read it was gonna raise up to like $1 million. So, we'll see.
I make a motion, we approve the 2023 single audit compliance for federal grants.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 9, discussion and designation of officer, employee of city to calculate the no new revenue tax rate and the voter approval tax rate for the city.
Well, Mayor Council, as part of adopting the new budget, this is a new state requirement of this document, the voter approval tax rate for the city, and with that, the county is requesting that there's a designated officer that makes that signature, so the council needs to
Nominate Bill.
designate.
That's usually the city manager.
Usually.
me.
Oh, because he's in charge.
So it's hard to
Okay.
recommend you
I guess we
me that, so I was
I would
just trying
move,
to toss it to you.
I would move we designate Richard as a employee of the city to calculate no new revenue tax rate and voter approval tax rate for the city.
Second.
Dolores, who you got?
Tom.
Tom, okay. Any additional discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 10, discussion on the 200th block of Northwest Street parking.
Yes, Mayor and Council, so we've had some concerned citizens come in on this item, request that they have presence before you to explain some of the ongoing situations and concerns that they've been dealing with. So they are here tonight, and they've emailed a letter that has been presented to each one of you. And she's here. If you would like to come up and speak to the council.
Introduce yourself, and we'll present this as part of the documents for this meeting, okay?
Okay, well, hello,
Can you
everybody.
She
My
needs a step stool.
name is Chrissy Haskell.
You can pull it down. You're
Okay,
good.
how's that? Okay, so I have you two letters in front. One is signed by myself and my husband. We live directly across the street from the junior high. The parking in front of our house is dangerous. It is many times that I back out of my driveway and I cannot see the oncoming or outgoing traffic because of those angled or slot parking on the right and the left side of my driveway. Not only do I think it's dangerous for myself, I also believe it's dangerous for the people who park in the angle parking. I know everybody visits Letitia's. And if you've ever tried to back out there when it's a congested time, it is hard to see who is coming. Of course, hopefully at Letitia's, you got parents holding their little kids' hands and walking with them, but you don't have that at the junior high. And so, I hope that you can look at this issue and we could try to resolve it.
Good?
Oh, and then you have another letter, my lot to the left of me, it will become a residential area. I know that my neighbors have plans to build a home there, so I know that times change. That used to not be a residential area, but it is now.
So you're asking basically that we, because right now it's angled or slotted parking, that it move to a parallel along your curb?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I actually think we discussed this about a year or two ago, and I thought it was done. But I think we were saying there was no angle parking, and they would be not parking 3 feet from the
I
driveway.
believe we
on
just
each
did a
side?
section,
Yeah.
not the entire.
Yeah, one
And
parking
you did all do that, and I appreciate that very much. Unfortunately, because those lines are painted over in black, people still park there. And so I'm just asking that my house would have the same curb as hopefully you all have. So that if somebody wanted to park in front of my house or the lot beside me, they have the right to do so, but that they would be parallel. I think that this would improve visibility. The length of a car is different than the length of a car, and I just feel as though that this would be safest for my street and the kids.
So you're saying no striping at all?
Correct.
On either side? No marked parking spaces, it'd just be clear like any curb, and if you park there, you park parallel to the curb?
Correct.
Yeah.
Besides the striping that I know that has to go by the crosswalk, of course, that needs to be striped off. For
But
safety.
no parking?
No
stripe.
parallel parking, white lines. Right.
And I thought we had that resolved, but,
No lines at all, period.
yeah,
Yes, that's the bottom line, yep.
I thought it was parallel parking anyway.
Well, they can be, but she's
Yeah.
just,
Well, right
Like
now,
it should
some of them have been blacked out, so there's no
Yeah.
parking right there immediate to her home. But then there's angle parking farther out, north and south of her home. And of course, there's a vacant lot, which could eventually become a house, which would face the same issue.
Maybe we need to discuss with the, the school, so they could put out, inform, because I'm sure it's probably teachers, I'm sure, that are parking there.
Right, it's school personnel who are parking there.
And those cars, I agree with her, the tinted windows that just normally come with vehicles today, you cannot see through that. If you're backing out off this front street, you just better hope that the light's red and nobody's coming, because you cannot see through that tinted glass. So I do know that's probably an issue, I mean, that is an issue.
And doing that would make, wider area for school pickup, buses to come by. I think it would definitely be better overall for everybody.
It is a very busy road.
It is that. Since I drive a bus up and down it, I know it is.
I do like the idea of taking them away completely and just, make it like all of our houses, if somebody parks there on the curb,
It's parallel.
they can. So, I mean, I feel the school probably has enough parking at that lot behind the bakery and then at the cafeteria.
They even had it down that Busbourne Road, I mean, they could park on that side.
Everybody good?
Thanks, Chrissy.
Agenda item number 11, citizens' presentation and comments. In accordance with the Texas Attorney General's opinion, any public comment that is made on an item that is not on the posted final agenda will only be heard by the city council. No formal action, discussion, deliberation, or comment will be made by the city council. We have some folks that have signed up for citizens' presentation. Brandon, if you'll step up to the podium, Mr. White, and if you'll introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes to express your feelings.
Thank you. My name is Brandon White. I'm addressing the issues with the alleyways. There seems to be some people that are blocking the alleyway. Some of us are the only way that we can, I was touching the computer. The only way that we can access our driveway is through the alley, and it goes straight through.
Just push the button on the microphone. There you go, thanks.
All right, I think my
Talk a little louder, you're good.
Our alleyway goes through from one street to the next, and a neighbor of ours has blocked it with a swing set, and continued to use the other half of the alleyway with a trailer and dotted up a bunch of potholes so big that to have a low riding car that it made it difficult to drive in. Anyways, in my opinion, I don't think that it should be blocked, and there's not enough language, I believe, from what I understand, it's very broad as to what the rules are for the alleyway, as far as like parking your car or whatever. And I'm not for making real stringent restrictions or anything, because we all use the alleyway, but that, again, we all use the alleyway, and I have every right to, especially those of us that have driveway is only accessible that way. It's gotten to the point to where this has escalated into a confrontation to where a physical harm has been threatened. So it is a very important issue that needs to be addressed, because some people are not reasonable, even though we all want them to, we all think we are, but, and if it gets to that point, then it's pretty bad. And I don't really care as far as like who maintains it. I know that is an issue as far as who maintains it, the citizens or the homeowners are maintaining it now. That's fine, but there needs to be more direct language as to blocking it and things of that nature, and to kind of prevent people from overextending themselves and taking up, extending their property line through the driveway, through the alleyway. And then, so it's clear as to what the rules are, and then you don't have people making physical threats to individuals about it. That's about all I have. Right?
Thank you, Mr. White, appreciate it. Okay. Mr. Dannemiller, if you'll step up, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, something on the agenda. I don't know how to do it yet. If I wanted to have wine time on a Thursday evening, I'd go to the Whistling Duck or Taste of Columbus. Okay, so I'm not here to just whine, right? I'd rather have a discussion. And I think Richard can talk if I read the fine print there. All right. 3, thank you for your comments on the pool cleanliness. We commissioned this pool in June of 2020. It is a first-class facility. The pool itself is first class. Our restrooms, locker rooms are third class. Out of the citizens here, or actually in the town, I probably use the pool more than anyone. I swim almost everywhere, right? I've been a lifeguard for 2 years at the pool, at the tail end of the season. That pool needs to be maintained better. I'm glad to hear that you picked it up, but I gotta tell you, I believe that the urinals and toilets in the men's restroom have not been cleaned since August of last summer when I did it. I honestly believe that. Right, that's one thing. South College Street Speedway. Now, I noticed that one of the members here has recently got a driveway on South College Street. Maybe they can agree with me here. At least 1/3 of the people that come up College Street are speeding. I'm retired now. I used to be a bus driver like Councilman Tucker. I got more time. I'm working in the yard, and I can sense the speed of people. We gotta slow them down. We used to have a portable radar sign that would record speeds and put it out. I don't know where it's gone to. I know we have a permanent one over here, but the portable one, last time I saw it was on the West Speedway. I like to find out where we get them, how much they cost. My wife's birthday's coming up. I could surprise her with a new sign in the yard. I got ample room. I'd like to do that. I can do it. I will take that on if that's what it takes. Next point. Free-range chickens. Okay? Now, not everybody in this room has this problem, but I've had it for a number of years, and I'm really tired of it. I believe everybody has the right to have their chickens in their own yard. When the chickens ate all my kale, I was okay with it. I don't really like kale. When they ate all my broccoli, that was a problem. Right? I've tried for years to get a neighbor of mine to corral his chickens. He refuses. If he sees me in Lowe's, turns around and walks down the other aisle. Won't even discuss with me. Free-range chickens, I'd like you to consider an ordinance to stop that. It makes a mess in my yard, and if anybody else has this problem, you know what I'm talking about. It's a mess. Thank you. Anything to say, Richard?
No, sir, thank you.
I have a question. When's your wife's birthday?
Later this month.
So you'll be next month looking for a new place to live. You buy that sign for her birthday, you're not gonna be living with her.
No, I think she supports me.
Okay. You're welcome. Anyone else that hadn't signed up, that wishes to speak during public comments? Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 12, report on 2024 IR inspection report. Thank you.
That's neat,
All right, Mayor, Council, basically 3 weeks ago, we had a gentleman riding around town on a side-by-side. He's works for Superior Thermal Service, and he does our electrical system study, looking for hot spots, connections, stuff like that. So, I mean, we have a contract with him. It's a 4-year contract. We're on the second part of our contract. But just kind of wanted to let y'all know, this is kind of like some of the findings that he had. And actually, like on the second page, that one arrow over here closer to the pole, that was one of the outages that we had probably about 2 weeks ago on a Sunday night. I know fire department got called out for sparks falling off poles and stuff like that. That's one of the findings that he had. But, just kinda wanted to let y'all know that, you know, who he was when he was in town, and, you know, this is what he does for us. And, I mean, there's, a lot of them are connections issues, wire splices, undersized wires, and then, overloaded transformers. And then also, he used to be with a different company, and all he did was power line stuff, but he started his own business, so now he does anything electrical. So like on this very last page, you know, that's a control box, at one of the wastewater plants. You know, he's looking for any kind of overheating of connections, undersized wires, just any issues that he sees, and then for us to go back and fix. Now, whenever we fix them, we reach out to him, he comes back and finds the trouble spots, you know, and makes sure that they were fixed correctly and all that. But like in the reports, if you notice, you know, he gives a temperature of what, you know, the hot spots are, and, he kind of gives recommendations on how to fix it. He got, you know, areas where we could write notes, and, the date repaired and all that, so. So just kinda wanna let y'all know, you know, even for the citizens, you know, that saw him riding around, you know, he was on side by side. He was here for about a week, I believe, and this is just a few of the issues that we found, but pretty much, you know, that's a good service, you know, for us, you know, for his findings and stuff like that. Because otherwise, we wouldn't know what our system looks like until something major happens. So.
And this feeds into, what we were talking about in our workshop of systems assessments. So this is the electrical piece. This is one part of the electrical assessment. So LCRA, we've been in contact with them, and they actually do a 5-year overall total assessment. And they'll be starting that probably in the next year, 6 months to a year as well, to give us a bigger picture of our electrical system. So,
LCRA used to do this service, and they, you know, they got away from it. So this gentleman started his own business, and, you know, he does all the surrounding towns, you know, because he knows their systems from LCRA back then.
So does he go around pretty much the whole town is what he did in a week, or did he just kind of pick an area and he just kind
Oh,
of?
he does the whole town.
Does he? Okay.
This just some of the pages. I mean, there's, I think, 28 pages.
Gotcha.
I mean, like this the cover, you know, this is the Padma transformer, at the hotel that he found last year. You know, he just used it as a cover page kind of,
Gotcha.
so.
That's pretty neat.
So then y'all will take this and go make repairs on the.
Yes, yes. Like I said, it's a 4-year contract. The first year, he comes, does an inspection. The second year, he kind of, you know, comes back and just double checks all the repairs. And then the third year, he comes, does another full inspection. And then the fourth year, he, you know, checks all the repairs. So.
Excellent.
Sounds like a good idea.
So then
Yeah,
are all,
a lot of these problems are bolt together, you know, that's where the crimper will come in handy and all that, so.
perfect.
Good. Everybody good?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Marshall, do you want a copy of that?
The crimper,
Yes.
The crimper keeps coming up.
yeah. Crimp that crimper.
Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 13, report on surplus property auction.
Mayor, council, if I could bring your attention to pages 26 through 28. So last Saturday, we had an auction, Switzer auction, Steely conducted an auction for us. Our portion of it was all online. We had several people come prior to the auction and
lot better, yeah. I thought we would be fortunate to hit 20.
That's what I was
So,
thinking.
and
That's
I
actually
thought
pretty
that
good.
was stretching, so I was surprised at what that amount was, so. And then if, council has no objections, we just thought we would put that money right back into the equipment fund.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's do that a little bit more often.
Can't get rid of all the junk.
We'll move to agenda item number 14, Enterprise Fleet Presentation, Discussion and Action on Enterprise Management Program. And Mr. Garcia, if you'll come up and introduce yourself.
Thank you. Mayor, council members, thank you for having me.
They have the handout.
Awesome, perfect. I printed out a few extra just in case. I'll put that away. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the plan we've been working over the last few months. And I want to start by thanking Richard, David, and the chief. Over the last few months, we've been looking at the fleet and putting this plan together. So what you're seeing there is kind of synthesis of the plan to, I don't want to bore you for hours here. And so I'll have four major points that I want to talk to you guys about. First one is enterprise fleet management, who we are, what we do. Second, the current situation of the fleet of vehicles owned by the city. Third is what the plan results are going to be. And fourth, safety implications. There's a few other bullet points that you can see on there that we can review. I'll open up for questions and I'm here for that. So first, enterprise fleet management. We're sister companies of Enterprise Rental Car. A lot of people know who that side of our business is. We own and operate the largest fleet of vehicles in the world. It's 2.3 million vehicles. So what we do in my division, we gather all that knowledge, the resources, the tools, and lend that out to our clients. In the state of Texas, we have over 1,200 clients. Out of those, over 400 are government entities such as yourself. Our plan is simple. We're just trying to do more with the limited resources, right? Do more with the tax dollars. So we're looking to, if I have to explain it in a few words, is buy low, sell high, and minimize everything in between. As a government entity, you can acquire vehicles and receive government incentives. Prior to COVID, it was close to 10,000. Post-COVID, those went away. This year, they came back, and we're very excited. Right now, we're averaging anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000, just depending on the type of vehicle that it is. What a lot of government entities do is you buy a vehicle and you drive it until the wheels fall off. That's where we come in. We put in a plan together to, we're constantly reviewing the fleet of vehicles, provide recommendation of when the best time to get rid of a vehicle. We buy and sell over 1 million vehicles a year, so you can plug into that system and we'll sell the vehicles on your behalf. All the proceeds will come back to the city, just as the previous item that we're doing. And then what we're going to achieve by that is we're going to be able to minimize everything in between. Two biggest costs is going to be maintenance and fuel. So I'll get to how we apply that system into your fleet of vehicles. If we turn to page 2, we're going to be in the current situation. What we found was that 5 out of 22 vehicles are either 10 years or older. The average age of the fleet is 7.5. This was impacted by few acquisitions over the last few years, which is great. Now, what the results are going to be is by driving a new fleet of vehicles, we're going to impact the two biggest operating expenses, which are fuel and maintenance. By the plan that we put in place, we're targeting 20% decrease in fuel and approximately 67% in maintenance. So what we saw last year in maintenance, I'm sure you maintenance your own vehicle. In 2023, we saw an increase year over year of 20% nationwide. Here in Texas, because of the type of vehicle that we run, it was 32%. So by running a fleet of vehicles, we're going to be able to lower that cost. When it comes to the fuel, new vehicles have new technology and are more fuel efficient. So by us having a better cycle, we're going to be able to have more fuel efficient vehicles. I mentioned we're going to be selling the vehicles on your behalf. We'll be providing recommendations of when to do it, when you approve it. We'll come pick up the vehicle, we'll sell it on your behalf, And last year, we averaged 32% over the commercial value index. That's what tracks the commercial, the fleet vehicle. So enterprise rental car or brand, as I mentioned, we sell over 1 million vehicles a year, and over those 1 million vehicles, we average 13% higher. Overall, the plan is to replace the oldest vehicles. That way, we have a bigger impact in the operating expenses. In the next 10 years, the plan shows a conservative $280,000 in savings over the next 10 years. So, on the next page, that's the information where we got the plan from. So this information has been vetted by both Richard and David. Next, I did add a case study there if you want to review that on your own time. It's City of Fredericksburg. We've been partners with them, and it's been a great partnership. We've been able to save a lot of tax dollars for their operations. Next is safety. A lot of the times we get approved because we're looking to save and maximize tax dollars, right? One thing that is often overlooked is the safety implications of running a nuclear vehicle. There's safety technology that's added into vehicles every single year. And what we found is that 18% or 4 vehicles are pre-date 2012. That's the year that electronic stability control was standardized in every single vehicle. According to the Traffic Safety Administration, that's the biggest safety feature since the seatbelt. Big deal. 45% is older than 2017. That's predates the standardization, forward collision warning, blind spot warning, and a rear view camera. Sure, a lot of us drive a vehicle with a rear view camera. I tried driving one about 2 months ago without one, and with a minivan it was really difficult. So we'll be able to, by properly replacing vehicles, we'll be able to have all the safety technology on there. Two of the other bullet points is account management. City of Weimar is going to have a dedicated team that's going to review the fleet of vehicles and provide recommendations. There's a client strategy manager that manages anywhere from 40 to 42 clients, and their job is to provide recommendations. They'll meet at least three times a year to review every penny we're spending on fuel, maintenance, acquisitions, and provide recommendations. There's also going to be a fleet account coordinator. That person's going to be there for any day-to-day questions that you may have. Whoever you guys assign as the contact, they have the option of reaching out to them. Technology will set up some training so that everybody who's going to be either a driver or leadership reviewing any of the fleet will provide training so they know what the new technology is going to be available for them. And the last one's references. As I mentioned, we have over 400 partnerships here in the state of Texas. I handpicked a few of them so that I can show you a list. And then in the bottom, you can see some phone numbers or email addresses.
Have we contacted any of these folks?
Actually, I've spoke with people who have been involved, but I've also used them in my previous work as well. So I have direct experience with them, so.
I just have one question, because I'm not very financially literate. So can you explain to me on the page about the synopsis where it says leverage an open-ended lease to maximize cash flow opportunities and recognize equity? I mean, is the city going to be buying vehicles or are they going to be leasing them?
Great question. So we've discussed the best plan going forward, and it's an open-ended leasing model, which is available for all of our clients. up the open-ended leasing model, which is, a good example would be a $30,000 vehicle. If we put that vehicle in a 5-year lease, we're gonna write it down to $10,000 at the end of 60 months. At that point, we already have a plan in place so that we can deliver a new one, we'll pick up the old one and sell it in your behalf. We're writing it down to a conservative amount, so we know that we can sell it for $18,000. We'll sell it for 18, we'll pay out the $10,000 amount, and that $8,000 delta is the city's keep either pushed back to the general fund, or our recommendation is put it into the next vehicle, and that creates that internal replacement fund. Does that answer the question?
A little bit, I guess, so ultimately, if the city enters a management agreement, do they have an option to own the vehicles outright, or is the only process is to go the lease route through and to lease them from Enterprise?
So there is an option to own the vehicle at the end. If we reach the 60 months and we pay the vehicle down to 10,000, for example, and we come to you with a recommendation, so you know what, we can sell for 18, but for X or Y reason, you decide to keep the vehicle, we can either extend the term, the financing on it, or you can pay cash for it and get that.
So the end value is just a guess at the beginning? You know, what it's gonna be? At the end of 5 years, you're just guessing it's gonna be this amount?
Not guessing, we have the data, that's how we manage and operate 2.3 million vehicles in our rental fleet, so we have the data to know within a certain percentage how much that vehicle is gonna cost. And we look at patterns too, so we looked at every single vehicle, what the mileage patterns were, and we base the trends off of that. And the value at term is gonna be reflective of the mileage pattern in the past. And we're conservative too, so the past has shown that average mileage pattern for was 10,000, we'll write it for 12,500, just so we can have that buffer.
How long is the contract once you sign up?
So each vehicle is gonna have its own lease, so we set up the framework, and that's what we're getting approved today, so we'll get the framework set up, and if you decide to fire us for X or Y reason, which that's what we try not to, on our side, but you can just pay off the vehicle and the partnership there.
And y'all cover all repairs?
So on new vehicles, there's a maintenance program that is provided, and on some of the vehicles, what we're doing is adding a full maintenance program, which is a fixed cost for the duration of the lease. So anything from an oil change to a transmission or engine repair is going to be taken care of at that cost.
So can you give us kind of a breakdown? Say we were buying 2 police vehicles at $200,000. Tell us why that makes sense to go through the enterprise system and what those numbers look like versus going the other route.
Yeah. So right now, if we're looking at a Chevy Tahoe, for example, last year we used ground numbers of $50,000, and then depending on the type of aftermarket equipment that we add on those. So average last year was $28,000 in aftermarket. So right now we'll be paying cash for all that. With us, what you can do is you spread that out within 60 months, so you don't have to pay that upfront. Second is we're being proactive. So instead of a vehicle breaking down because it has 200,000 miles, we're being proactive and meeting with department heads to make sure we have a plan to factory order the vehicle. Usually when we factory order, we can be saving anywhere from 5 to 15% depending on the type of vehicle. And we're also looking ahead. So when we place an order, we know it's going to take about 6 months. Right now, and I believe I heard it earlier, right now we're seeing aftermarket equipment vendors, they have a huge backlog. So you take a vehicle in, and they were not expecting it. So now you're in the back of the line and you have to wait, and we've seen over 12 months for that vehicle to be fitted. With us, we're talking to them constantly. So we're telling them at the moment we place the order and that order is accepted, we let the aftermarket equipment vendor know it's coming. So it's already in line. So they have the equipment anywhere from, I mean, again, our process is much faster because everything is expected.
And I apologize, I think what Kurt was kind of asking in terms of the contract is, this is a vehicle by vehicle obligation. In other words, we could lease one from you this year, and then if the council said, well, we want to buy one next year and manage it ourselves and compare the costs to see how it's working, they could do that.
They can. And all the acquisitions will be going through, the approved, source flow contract. So we have the contract awarded, that takes care of the due diligence process, and you're getting all the government incentives.
So then you have to come up with the 5 years of payments at the lease. I mean, once you, the total, not on a monthly basis, you come up with the entire sum.
That is correct, yeah, so that's the other benefit. As I mentioned, we're writing it down to a conservative amount.
Yeah.
So instead of a traditional financing, you pay down to zero. With this model, you're paying it down to a residual value. That way, going back to being able to do more with the limited funds that we have, you're not paying into that residual value.
For the whole amount.
But the payments are monthly, right? It's a monthly.
That's correct.
payment. Okay.
It's up to
Yeah,
you.
so it's, you're not having to write a big check up
Right.
front, but
That's your
but you're gonna be obligated for 5 years. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know about. the car
60,
business.
yeah, 60 months, yeah. Well, you said, well, you were gonna pay for the whole thing at the outset, and that's what kind of confused me. Were you doing monthly payments,
That is correct, monthly payments.
5 years worth? Yeah.
Or depending on the type of lead, we'll provide a recommendation, have cities, going back to the point earlier, pre-COVID, there were government entities stocking vehicles every year because a pickup truck, you were getting $10,000 in incentives, you would get $30,000 and in 12 months, you were selling it for $28,000. You already made payments on that, and all that equity just rolled it onto the next vehicle, and it lowers that monthly payment. So, that's why we meet constantly to be able to provide those recommendations.
So, if we have a vehicle that's $100,000 and you say at the end of 5 years it's worth 10, we basically take $90,000, make $18,000 a year payments for 5 years, and then if it sells for 20 at the end of 5 years, we get an extra 10 and start that process all over.
That is correct.
And we can add vehicles, just because we just purchased 2 police vehicles, those won't need to be replaced right now, but those can be added as needed later on.
Correct. Yeah, you have a credit line to where you can access it as needed.
In your presentation, hasn't those 2 vehicles already been factored in?
Yes.
And a commitment to Enterprise, as a city, is that, of course, we know it's a 5-year commitment, let's say, or whatever for the vehicle. Do we renew with Enterprise annually? Or is that every 5 years, or how often do we need to review and agree to take on Enterprise?
So it's the framework is what's approved, so it's approved as long as we have a source contract. And every year, what will change is the amount of vehicles that we have on. If we decide to go another route and say you want to pay cash for 1 year because you need to spend some funds, that's also an option. So it's very, we make sure that we provide the services that each city, right? Everybody's different, and we can adapt to whatever the needs are. Right now, as I mentioned, over the last few months, what we've worked, this was the time that make the most sense for the transit bridge.
You get the vehicles directly from the manufacturer or?
Yeah, so we have different ways. That's gonna be the most cost-effective way to acquire a vehicle. We have the possibility of placing orders directly with them. There's also, in Texas, through government, dealership that we can access, that we have access to, we have great relationships with. That's another possible way of acquiring a vehicle.
So normally because you guys do, I'm using by volume as a word, you're gonna get that vehicle less cost than what we have been probably in the past.
That is correct. And because we can factory order it,
option that goes
Okay.
into a vehicle. So, instead of going to the dealership that already has the vehicle in stock and it's already built, they might have a few other options that we might not need. So, we're gonna get together, we're gonna review whatever vehicle we're placing the order for, and, we'll pick and choose the options. So, that way we don't purchase something that's not needed. We'll get the right tool for it out.
Specifically, it's the vehicle, it's not the package that goes on it, like, for example, police department, all the things that gets added to it, that's not involved in your lease program.
It can be. So we can only acquire the vehicle and deliver it as is from the manufacturer, and you can still handle the aftermarket process, or we can take care of the whole process and deliver a turnkey ready. Which, as a government entity, the recommendation will be a turnkey ready, that way.
Yeah.
We have a whole team that, will get together, chief, we'll sit down with them, or if he assigns somebody else, we'll review every single, equipment item that's going into the vehicle. We'll put out the bid. Last week I did one, we requested 6, we got 5 back. And the decision, we put all the information for you to make a decision. It usually is a combination of cost and time. Out of the 5 that came back, one of them has a backlog that didn't want to overpromise. It said it's gonna take us about 12 months. That city made a decision to go on to the next one because it was only a 2.2 additional cost for one that's gonna deliver it much quicker.
So does Cabernet over here accept payments on your maintenance plan?
That is correct, yes.
They do?
Mhm. Yeah, so we have 66,000 shops nationwide, and you can access any of them.
That's cool. And equipment that, for example, a vehicle would be taken out of the fleet and it had equipment on it, for example, a police vehicle. If some of that equipment still is valuable, can it be put onto the new one without having to purchase?
It can. It's what we do. We run a report on it. So we tell you if we sell as is, this is how much you will get for it. Or if we strip it and reuse the equipment, this is how much we'll get. And you make the decision.
So going back to the 66,000 shops, if there is a local business here that may not be in y'all's network, can they join that? Is that you do?
Definitely. Yeah. With government entities, we try to keep the tax dollars in the city. So if there is one that you've used in the past and it's not part of the program, we can definitely add it.
So is this a next fiscal year budget item? Is that what you're?
Yes. Our intention is to give y'all exposure to it, to ask any questions, and then to put it in FY '25's budget, so that when you're approving that, you understand what it is and know what you're approving or declining, and we can either remove it or leave it in. So we're not asking for decisions tonight on that, but just so you have the presentation.
Is it possible to get kind of an exemplar of what the lease would look like?
I have them, and I'll forward them to you.
And so initially, we're looking at, was it 2 police vehicles and 2 public police?
2 police vehicles and 2 F-250 public work vehicles.
And then add the ones we have to it.
Police vehicle?
So we have
Well,
new ones.
all of our vehicles would basically be folded into their mix, yes. All of our regular duty vehicles would be plugged into the system.
That's what was at the top of that.
Basically, yes, sir.
All of the regular
Yes.
vehicles would be a part of this.
So they went through our entire fleet, identified the vehicles that meets qualifications for the program and ones that didn't. So what you saw at the top were ones that met their program criteria.
They were taken to the program,
Yes.
the lease.
And what was that number again, that we would start day one, was it?
Well, if we started with that today, then that number roughly would be 55,000 roughly for the 4 vehicles. Is that the number you're looking at?
A year? We would use
Yeah,
that over the
well,
next
for this year, that's what it would be. So each year it changes because each year a different amount of vehicles or different types of vehicles come up, so.
So just because we're putting vehicles in the fleet doesn't mean that we're paying on until we
Now, we're not paying on those vehicles, they're just plugged into the schedule, if you will, yeah, the schedule, yeah. So, and that's,
And so then on the maintenance plans, it's like say they need an oil change done, they take it to Cavender's and it's all ran in the system, everything's good, but what happens if they come out and say, oh, it's gonna be $185, but you only have budgeted $75, is that like a big issue, or how do y'all go by getting that?
It's, the program will take care of anything. So
Okay.
we already accounted for what we do. We have a plan on if they're gonna be running for 60,000 miles in those 5 years. We know how much you can spend on that,
Okay.
and it's inflation proof. So those clients that signed up 4 years ago, right now they're paying 4 years ago maintenance. They love the program.
Okay.
Right now it's whatever the cost would be today, that's how much we pay for them for the duration of the lease.
His data is incredible to predict what you need to do. Yes. You got enough data to make it work.
2.3 million
Yes, sir.
vehicles, yeah, so it's a little bit.
Somewhere there's a trend of what
Yeah.
you need to be doing. Yep.
Exactly.
So our commitment to Enterprise is based on the lease per vehicle.
That's correct. And there's additional services or products that you can pick and choose depending on what the needs are in the future. Right now, what we discussed was the acquisition, the resale whenever it's time, and then the maintenance.
So, where's the money made?
For us,
Yeah.
yeah, and then we can go, so it's, to simplify, if right now the process that you're doing is costing you $10, we can do it for 8, we'll give it to you for 9, and we all win. So, to look into it is, whenever we go directly to the manufacturer, we become the dealership, and there's some money that gets paid to the dealer, anywhere from $300 to $400 per vehicle, that is revenue for us. So, whenever you're moving so much product like we do, that adds up, right? At the end of the term, through the source code contract, there's a $400 cost to terminate the lease, and when that takes care of the whole paperwork process, and that's a revenue avenue for us too. And then we become the bank. So any of not the leasing cost, the interest factor, as we are the bank, that is another revenue. So those three.
So approximately, what is that?
It's the T-bill plus 300 basis points. I'm sorry, T-bill through the source was T-bill plus 50 basis points.
And with 2,300,000 vehicles, and if you made $1 off of each one, you're still doing good.
Your money's made in volume.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why, that's what we're looking for, long-term partnership. It's, we just think ourselves, and initially when I was talking to Richard and Chief, I told him, we're not a dealership, you're looking for 4 vehicles, we're not who you're looking for, because what we're trying to accomplish is a long-term partnership where you're sourcing vehicles to us, and we earn your business really with every interaction that we have, because that's the point where there's not a long-term commitment, we're just looking to earn your business every interaction that we have.
Okay, everybody got quiet, so any other questions? It does have a action.
and we're
Item.
not looking for
Okay,
action
now,
tonight, so.
no, we're all good. Any other questions for Mr. Garcia?
I don't think so.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you for,
Very much.
thank you for educating us and coming down.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 15, future agenda items. Does the council have anything? Okay,
Look into the future.
don't hear anything, so we'll move to agenda item number 16. Executive session under section 551.074 personnel, city manager review, and section 551.086 certain public power utilities competitive markets. So at Dolores, I'm calling it 6:55. We'll go into executive session and